Good evening, everyone. Today's date is Monday, May 5th, and the time is 6:04 p.m. And I will call to order the monthly meeting of the Norwalk Bike Walk Commission. In attendance tonight, we have um, Tanner Thompson, Commissioners Tanner Thompson, Becca Stoll, Christine Bisegli, and Nick Pappas. We're also joined by Jim Travers and Nell. I will let you say your last name because I know I will butcher this. I'm so sorry. I should have asked.
Nell Blaskowitz.
Blaskowitz. Thank you for joining tonight. And Dylene Bird, thank you for taking our minutes. I will open up tonight's meeting with an opportunity for public participation. So if there are any members of the public, and I see we have a few that would like to say anything or make an announcement or introduce themselves, I welcome them to do so now by raising their hands. Okay, I see we had a few more people join, so I'll just say again, welcome to our monthly Bike Walk Commission meeting. If there are any members of the public that would like to raise their hands for participation, if they have any announcements or anything they would like to say or just introduce themselves, please feel free to do so now. Michael A. Smeets, I see you have your hand raised. Dylene, could we please unmute Mike so he can talk?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All
Thank
right,
you.
fantastic. So I'm actually from Larchmont in Westchester, and we're trying to do what you guys are doing now in Larchmont, Mamaroneck, and you guys, I think, are way ahead. So here to learn and see what you guys are up to. And the agenda today caught my attention, so I wanted to join it.
Amazing. Thank you for joining, Michael. You said I'm so sorry, Larchmont. How did you say that?
Larchmont.
Larchmont, New York. Okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you so much for joining tonight. I hope we can, collaborate or catch up. I think I did see your email come through to our Bike Walk Commission email. So whatever we can do to collaborate, we would be happy to do so.
Emily, is it okay if I ask Michael for just like a quick 30-second summary of what the scene looks like in Larchmont right now? Like if there's anything going on in the government, anything going on, in the grassroots area.
Yeah, so I'll give you the rundown. So you guys probably don't know, but we have 3 different municipalities and the school district in sort of Larchmont, Mamaroneck, which people don't realize when they move here. So it's been a little bit of a slog. I'd say what's going on now is we've got the Village of Larchmont won an SS4A grant 3 years ago. They're in the process of rolling that out now. The Village of Mamaroneck applied and won last year. Hopefully they'll do that in the fall. And there our third municipality is the town of Mamaroneck, and we hope to get them to apply. They didn't apply last year, apply for an SS4A grant this year. And the goal of all 3 of these processes is to get the public involved, to show to our municipal leaders how much people want bike and pedestrian infrastructure, bike and pedestrian safety programs, and use this to create a list of the next 10 years of infrastructure projects that we can embark on. And I actually use your the Norwalk model from, I think, 2012, that report, as sort of example of what we're trying to do. And then simultaneously, we also have Boston Post Road as a major thoroughfare through our neighborhood, is being repaved by New York State DOT. Notoriously, they're hard to get a hold of. And so we've inserted ourselves in that process, and with a lot of hopefully community input and potentially some yelling at DOT, we can get some bike lanes and some infrastructure on that very important piece of road.
Awesome, thank you. I think I have ridden through Larchmont for what it's worth. Once a year, on Bike to Work Day, I ride to my office in New York City, and I believe 2 years ago I rode through Mamaroneck and Larchmont.
Yeah,
And,
we're on the
I
Greenway,
agree.
so
It used
you've
to be
probably
improved.
come by. It's not.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I followed the Greenway all the way through.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Greenway doesn't take the most scenic route. In an ideal world, you go down Boston Post Road, but historically, it's been, I think, too dangerous. So we're hoping to change that.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, Michael, and great question, Tanner. Thank you for sharing all that, Michael. The 2012 report you mentioned, what do you know specifically which one that is? The title
Let
of that?
me look.
That's probably our comprehensive bike and ped master plan.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
Okay.
So that wasn't a Safe Streets report, but what I thought was really great is it sort of looked at the potential universe of projects, assigned a degree of difficulty, assigned a potential cost. And I think it did like a very loose ranking of what the first priorities were. And I thought, hey, that was a great approach to take because there's always too many projects to do all at once. So let's think about what are the most important ones, what are the most expensive ones, what are the hardest ones, what are the easiest ones, and sort of use that as to guide where we spend our time, effort, and energy.
Thank you. Okay, are there any, oh, is that all, Michael, or?
And then we're trying to get more stuff for the schools. So we've got some bike buses at some of our local elementary schools. And the thing that caught my attention on the agenda today was I think you guys have done some safety programming. So one of the things that's on tap for probably next year is trying to get some ped bike stuff in the PE curriculum. Probably some pilots next year at the elementary school level. So which I don't think is exactly what you guys did, but I'd love to know what existing materials out.
Definitely. I know a big partner of ours, and I think tonight we have him in attendance too. Chaz Foster has helped us with those safety presentations and workshops through the League of American Bicyclists. But additionally, I know Manny, one of our commissioners tonight, will talk about the Safe Routes to School program and our partnership with the Norwalk Public Schools. So that's excellent. And we're
Yeah.
happy to connect with you more, outside
Yeah,
of our
I just
call.
took over as our one of our Safe Routes co-chairs. So that's
Excellent.
been
Oh,
one of
that's great
the
to hear.
driving bodies behind ped bike safety. Yeah, because again, we've got 3 different municipalities and we're really leading with kids first, letting kids walk and bike to school. So Safe Routes is sort of the main engine of bike ped safety.
Definitely. Well, thank you again for joining us tonight, Michael. Are there any other members of the public that would like to make any public comment at this time? Please raise your hand. Okay. If not, we will continue moving on to our next item here, which is the acceptance of the minutes. So I know in our previous meeting, we weren't able to vote and approve our March meeting minutes. So I would like to make a motion to approve those for commissioners that are able to do that. Can I make a motion or do I entertain the motion?
I think you have to entertain the motion. Somebody else has to move.
I have, okay.
And
have to
I wasn't
entertain
at
the motion.
March, so I'm not going to move.
We do have Manny available here too.
Yeah,
I have
I'll make a motion.
different. Thank you, Manny. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Christine. All in favor? Okay. March meeting minutes have been approved. And now I'd also like to entertain a motion to approve our April minutes.
I have one comment on the April minutes,
Okay.
and that is that I'm not listed as having been in attendance, although my name shows up in the minutes. But the very first line that says attendance, I'm not there. So, but with that one change, I will move to accept the minutes.
Thank you, Tanner, for catching that. I'm sorry I didn't. Can I get a second from another commissioner? Oh, Christine, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, April meeting minutes have been approved. Our regular meeting dates are the first Monday of every month. So today's Monday, May 5th. Our next meeting will be on Monday, sorry,
June 2nd.
June 2nd. Thank you, Tanner. And moving on to our next item here. So I have old business. On this item, I have updates on previous action items, I know part of that is more that we'll discuss on our strategic goals and budget review, as well as some quotes that we were looking for. So instead of diving into that now, if it's okay with the rest of the team, I think we can address those as we get into those items further down the list. The other reason for doing this is I know we have Chaz Foster in attendance tonight, so he has a limited time. He's just coming back from a Century ride, so I want to appreciate his time. He's the next item here, the bike safety presentation and workshop with CT State College, unless there are other previous action items that other commissioners want to bring up at this time. Okay, so then I will move forward with new business. So Chaz, thank you so much for making the time to join us tonight. With your go ahead, I'd like to talk about the safety presentation and workshops that we were able to do with CT State College Norwalk leading up to our Earth Day event. And I'll hand it off to you to talk about these. Oh, Chaz, do we have you here?
I'm here. Can you hear me? There we go.
I can hear you now, yes.
Can you see me? It for some reason it's not showing my usual Zoom stuff. Anyways, you can hear me, right?
Yeah, let me promote you to panelist. That way we could see you. Just give me 1 second.
Okay. You don't have to see me. I've just driven 7 hours. Voted, yay. Oops, now I have to say yes to video. Video. Use my iPhone.
We can see you.
All good.
Oh, you can see me now. Okay, there it goes. Great. So yes, just came back from a Century ride. So pardon me,
Congratulations.
I'm a little, brain's not quite working full. Emily, you pitch in wherever you want. A couple of things have happened since we did those. I think the participants that we did get, it was well received. We'd love to get more. I don't know, how we do that. It has been a problem, and League of American Bicyclists has said that when you do things for free, people sign up and then don't show up. And I didn't listen to them for the last few years, and I've had that experience several times. So I think finally, lessons will be repeated until you finally pay attention to them. One option would be that Sound Cyclist, of which I'm a board member, and kind of sponsors these. We could do something like, I have to find out how we could do it, but charge, because I understand as a not-for-profit, you can't actually charge and then collect money and all of that. But we could, and even though we're not-for-profit, we're a social not-for-profit. And then we could give them something of value, like a membership in the club, because we don't really want to charge for doing things that are part of our mission, which is safety and cycling and all that. So that's something I'm going to bring up at our board meeting, which is coming up in a couple of days, and see if people are interested in that. So that might help us with getting more people in the seats. Another thing that's come up since then is I'm doing several presentations for other communities on e-bikes. It's becoming noticeable that there are more e-bike accidents between motorists and e-bikes. Some of it seems to be based on younger people being given e-bikes as presents, and the parents not understanding the types of e-bikes and what's appropriate for someone that's under 16. And the second thing is that e-bikes are more complicated. And so there's a need to really pay attention and all of that. And so that kind of wraps into the parental thing, is to say to parents, hey, you don't want to get them that really nice, more complicated e-bike until they're old enough to be able to control it, because there's issues. My background in psychology, the prefrontal lobe hasn't fully developed in under 16 years old. And it makes it difficult for them to, almost all e-bikes, if it has a throttle, the throttle will override the pedaling system. And we've seen several accidents happen with that, where they're not making that connection, and then they're going along and all of a sudden it takes off on them and they didn't expect that and all of that. And part of that is training, but part of it is also saying to parents, hey, wait for that really nice e-bike until they're older, over 16. So we're working that into presentations and stuff, and safety for e-bike people and all of that. One thought I think I mentioned to you, Emily, is maybe we do some of this as Zooms, the presentation stuff. So we don't have to find a venue, and if 2 people show up, we don't care. In terms of doing the safety presentations and then doing it as a smart cycling workshop, we could do presentations in the morning and then do ride in the afternoon. So we could take one day, like a Saturday or a Sunday, and that might help us get more people. One of the places that looks really good for that would be Fox Run School, and possibly the Norwalk Community College, which is now what, Connecticut State College, Norwalk. Because what's nice about that is with all the bike lanes going in there, it's a nice place for new riders and inexperienced riders to go. And then we'd have both. We'd have a place to do the presentation, give them lunch, and then say, okay, off we go for a ride. And again, I think if we can figure out a way to have them have some skin in the game where, okay, you got to give us $40. They'll show up because they don't want to lose that $40. And it becomes, non-refundable 3 days before the session or something like that.
Thank you, Chaz. Yeah, and I just want to give a quick preface, and I should have introduced this before you started talking, but these are all really good points, and thank you for sharing them. And I know some of them we had talked about before, but Chaz led our intro to safe cycling class at CT State Norwalk on Tuesday, April 15th from 6:30 to 8:30. And that was the overview of bike safety tips. In attendance, we also had Jalea Green from the health department, who recently got her league certified instructor certification. So congrats on that, Jalea, and thank you for being involved in that. But that's specifically the course that would be something that we can also host remotely, like Chaz was suggesting, maybe on Zoom, to be able not only to have it accessible to more people, but also we use going forward as, clips or media or pieces that we can share online to continue promoting education around bike safety. The other part to that was, while we tabled and waited for our attendees to file in at the state college, we met with other students who suggested having tables at the college to further engage the student body there. And a few students that had stopped by our table and connected with us mentioned that during the day would make more sense, as I know there are some people there for night classes, but it tends to be busier during the day. So we could do something like that going forward. We also had John from the wellness committee in attendance for that session, and I wanted to thank him as well for staying and making sure that we had everything we need. And we got a lot of good signups from that. And thank you, Christine, as well, for joining us, and Jalea, at that safety seminar. The second part that Chaz did, and we had a nice attendance of people as well, and one family, a mother and her son, attend, was the outdoor cycling skills workshop. And that was on Tuesday, April 22nd from 5:30 to about 7:30, maybe 8 p.m. And that was in the parking lot of the CT State Norwalk College. And that was great because that, to your point, Chaz, was a nice way to get the course in, and it is in person. The other thing was I ended up riding my e-bike there. So having maybe that for e-bike riders would also be really nice. And actually, I'm glad you brought it up too, because later in our agenda, I do bring up, I know Westport Police Department is hosting an event, and I'm pretty sure I saw your name on there. So you will be there. So I put that together shortly before this call, which is really great to see. Congratulations on doing that, and good luck. And I'm hoping that, when we get to that item, I'll talk more about it. But these were all leading up to the Earth Day bike rides. And so if we do have more opportunities to prepare residents, visitors for these rides that we're hopefully hosting more of in the bike valet service, I would love to continue doing this. And I appreciate your suggestion of, having an incentive for the commitment. I think that'll be helpful to get attendance up. And that was another feedback point that we kind of had on our end, was attendance was a little low, but I think we can work with the city more to promote these sorts of events, especially now that it's bike month and everything, and we have more events coming up.
And actually, if you want to quickly throw some things up for Bike Month, Zoom would be an easy way to do it. We don't have to get somebody to give us a venue or whatever. And also tables at the Connecticut State Norwalk for Bike Month. It's a great excuse to say, hey, pay attention to bike stuff.
Definitely. Do any commissioners have any questions or comments or feedback for Chaz? Oh, Becca, I see your hands raised.
I want to circle back to when we were discussing the laws that do exist around e-bikes. I wonder if there's stuff we could be doing to publicize that. For example, if someone applies for, I don't know if I assume that the e-bike vouchers from the state are long gone by now, but is there a way to verify that those bikes are being purchased for the use of people over 16, for example? Because again, it might be a matter of parents not knowing and saying, oh, this will help my kid get to high school, and not knowing that it is not technically legal for a 14-year-old to ride a class 3. You know, I wonder what kind of education could be looped in with the bike vouchers, and that we could talk to any local e-bike shops about how to better inform, you know, their purchasers about the liabilities associated, you know, not in a way that deters usage, but that keeps us clear, you know.
Right. Most of the better bike shops, and we partner with those, they're part of our bike shop program, are good about that. They will say, you know, under 16, not a class 2 or 3. Because class 2, it's again, it's a little difficult. They haven't quite got those skills. You know, I think back to when I was 16 years old, and I'm thinking, well, I was very, you know, coordinated and all that kind of stuff, but the research says no. And it does become more complicated. So they usually steer them toward a class 1 and say, you know, in a few years, come back. You use it to get, and you can still use it to get to school and all that. The other thing that's an issue, and if most of the legal stuff at Westport is being done by the police department, but I've got my list of legal stuff, and if they don't cover a few things, I'm going to mention it. One thing that needs to be mentioned to parents is an e-moto is not the same as an e-bike. If it doesn't have pedals that will move the bike, it is not an e-bike. E-motos are basically illegal for anyone that doesn't have a license. They don't have to have the motorcycle approval on their license, but they have to have a license to do an e-moto on any street in anywhere. And they're totally illegal on any trails. And that's a big issue on trails. We see e-motos, and now towns are actually, Southington has started putting out bicycle officers on quads, and they are chasing them down. Of course, it's hard to catch them because as soon as they see a cop, they take off. But so that's something parents need to realize. That's not an e-bike. If it doesn't have pedals, it's not an e-bike.
As a point of comparison, just for people who don't know, for example, I do a lot of pedal assist rideshare riding, like something like a city bike. Is that most analogous to a class 1?
Which one's the city bikes?
Like a Capital Bike Share in DC, or the City Bike e-bike?
I know for a fact that City Bike is class 1.
Thanks.
Class 1? Okay.
Because then that gives, you know, if that's a point of comparison for the adults or the parents, you can say,
Right.
like, you know, this is sort of like a city bike if you've ever ridden those, you know, or a pedal assisted city bike.
And one of the original thinking with the classification systems with what are they called? People for bikes, I can't remember the name of the organization. They did a wonderful job of saying, look, this is going to be the Wild West of e-bikes. Let's come up with categories. One of their thinking was that class 3 would be used more for commuters. Now, what happened is that, you know, they're faster, but here's the interesting thing. The reason our club allows class 3, but doesn't allow class 2 is that you still got to pedal with a class 3. Yes, you could hit a top speed of 28 miles an hour, but you have to be pedaling. And it is not easy. If you've ever ridden a class 3, to get it up to that 28 miles an hour, you've really got to work hard. So it's not really an issue. But unfortunately, a lot of towns and people that have trails have said no to class 3s on trails just because they have a top speed of 28. when that's not really a big issue for that. But, you know, people need to know that they're actually not allowed in certain, so it's a very, the whole laws thing is interesting. And if we get parents who are probably purchasing these for their children to understand, here are the laws, and by the way, if you get caught with an e-moto, the officer that catches you has a right to confiscate it, and you never get it back. That's the way the law is written. It's like, it was illegal, you're done. So, and then they probably sell it on the on the used market.
Jim, oh, sorry to cut you off, Chaz. I just wanted to make sure, Jim, I see you have your hand raised. Do you have a question? Oh, you're muted, Jim.
Sorry. I think I just wanted to make a point. Like, I love the fact of looking at something with the rules and regs for e-bikes as we were talking today. Like, as embarrassing as this might be to say, like, I wasn't aware that you had to be 16 for a class 3, right? So we had a conversation with Amy Watkins at Watch For Me CT, and they have some resources available to us to give us some like Norwalk specific information, but we don't necessarily have to ask for Norwalk. I'll reach out to Amy and see if she can create something that can go out there for the rules and regs, because I think it's information that's probably not out there. I was looking after you and I spoke, Em, and just looking online, and there are a lot of things that talk about the regulations for an e-bike, and none of them are really talking about the age requirement.
Right.
I think it's a valuable piece of information that's missing. So I'll reach out to Amy and see if we can't get something for Watch For Me CT.
There actually
would
is
be
a
great.
resource that Connecticut has put out in the legal, whatever, you know, the legislature. She probably has access to that. And interestingly, the 16-year-old restriction is in most of the manuals, very small type, hidden somewhere in it. It is not put on the front of the bike that says, by the way, you need to be 16. Don't look at this bike, go look at that one right next to it that's a class 1 or 2. It's an issue in the industry, and they want to sell bikes, so they're not really pushing that. And, you know, most people be like, no, I want them to have the bike that goes really fast, or the good one, or whatever. The kid would want that. So it's an issue. And also for adults to understand, you know, that a class 3 would be restricted from trails. If you're getting it for recreation, you want to have access to trails. So we need to help with the education of all that. And People for Bikes is really good. The other thing that has become an issue is influencers on social media are often pushing certain brands. They get, you know, that whole sponsorship thing. They get the bike to use for free or whatever. And they are not talking at all about what's appropriate or what's legal or anything like that. And that, of course, social media is where a lot of younger people and a lot of us adults get a lot of information, and it's not accurate.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Chaz. Christine, I see you also have your hand raised.
Yeah, thank you, Emily, and Chaz and Jim. I also, one key factor is the weight of the bike, and they can be up to 70 pounds. So that makes a difference. Also, besides speed, it's the weight. So I sent the law over to a couple of people on this call here from the state. But good conversation.
Thank you, Christine. Yeah, and I would love to, Chaz, reconnect with you more about how we can continue bike safety workshops, whether remotely, bike focused, e-bike focused. I would love to keep the conversation going. So thank you for all of your time and volunteering and effort so far. So we'll definitely be in touch, and thank you for attending tonight.
You're welcome, and thank you, and thanks for, you know, doing what you're doing. And what's really be helpful for people like myself and Christine and Julia is to understand what's needed, so that we can then plug in, you know, our expertise and all that, and start doing the Zooms and workshops where the need is. Okay, I'm gonna sign off and go unpack the car.
Congratulations on your
Thanks,
Century
everyone.
ride. Yeah, thank you
Thank you.
again. Okay, any last comments or feedback from commissioners about our bike safety? Christine first, and then Tanner. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Christine.
just to answer Michael, and thanks, Michael, for being on. And it's a beautiful community, Larchmont, Mamaroneck. But I know Simsbury in Connecticut has a PE curriculum for bike education, so you may want to check them out on the web.
Will do. Thank you.
And
Perfect,
we,
and now
I think
Tanner?
we want to get in that direction. We're moving in that direction. As an educator, you know, going the unions, it can be a difficult process getting into the schools. It's not that easy. So I wish you luck, and we're chipping away here in Norwalk at it.
Thank you, Christine. Tanner, and then Becca. And then I'm gonna wrap it up there because we gotta get through the rest of our agenda.
Yeah, I'll keep this quick. I completely agree that e-bikes are under like kind of the understanding of e-bikes is lower among the general population than it should be. But that cuts both ways, and I would request that if, as a commission, we're endorsing some training that to raise awareness and safety for e-bikes, that in addition to helping people understand the risks of e-bikes, also to help people understand the benefits. In particular, that e-bikes contribute really strongly to raising accessibility of cycling to populations that otherwise wouldn't feel comfortable cycling or wouldn't be able to cycle. And also it substantially impacts the ability for a bicycle to replace a car in somebody's life. Obviously, with great power comes great responsibility, but I want us to make sure that when we're talking about e-bikes, that we're including both the responsibility and the power.
Thank you, Tanner. Well said. Becca, last thoughts.
Great. Just a brief addendum to what Christine said for our friends from Westchester County is that anecdotally, my therapist, who's based in New Haven, asked about where she could get bike lessons for her daughter, and I said I knew that they were doing something in the New Haven public schools, and she just took that information and ran with it, and now somebody who offers New Haven like lessons is teaching her daughter. So New Haven could be another resource to check out. Sort of as far as, even if you can't get into schools, maybe you can find the people who would teach kids, and and obviously in the end we want to offer something that's more inclusive than private instruction for pay by individual parents, but we got to start somewhere.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that that's
absolutely.
the New Haven Coalition for Active Transportation that does those lessons.
Sounds
Christine, I
about
think, is
yes, the
connected with
dinner
them.
you and I went to.
Great. Thank you, Becca. Moving on to our next agenda item here, I will hand it off to Nick Pappas for the Earth Day events recap, a summary of activities, how we engaged with the community, how Bike Valet went, and any other comments you'd like to make.
So for the Earth Day event, we got hit with some rain, and the attendance for the event overall was still pretty good, but obviously not as good as it would be with nice weather. We had a fair number of people that stopped by the table to ask more about what the commission does. A fair amount of people who took some business cards. We didn't have a sign-up sheet for our email list, so we missed an opportunity there. But I think through the business cards, we were still able to give a lot of website and contact information for those who were interested. The Bike Valet service, I think, did as well as it could, considering not many people would seem to want to show up to the event in the rain on their bike. But still got some takers who used the service. And overall, I think it went pretty well. I don't have anything off the top of my mind that I would want to change that I'd like to bring up here, but I'd like to ask those commissioners that helped out to please also give in their opinions.
Thank you so much, Nick. And I should have started by thank you for volunteering and spending your day, organizing the valet and getting all the tents set up and doing all of that work. So thank you to Nick and all of the other commissioners that participated and putting together the volunteer guideline and finding volunteers. I know that was a lot of work. So thank you. And then I saw Tanner, you raised your hand first, and then Becca. So please, Tanner, go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick question for Nick. Given that the event was affected by the rain and the turnout was a little bit depressed, I'd still be interested to know if we have a count of the total number of bikes we were able to valet.
I don't have that information on hand. I would have to guess 5.
Oh, really? I could have sworn there were more. I was one of the 5, by the way. Thank you.
Okay, Becca.
In the picture that went out with our email, you can see me with at least 5 bikes. I think at one point I counted 7. And just to add to things that I mean, I enjoyed my shift as a valet person very much. It was great to talk to people. I felt like, and this could be my lack of information as the newest commissioner, I felt like I struggled when people were like, well, what are you? What do you do? To sort of to have a one-liner for our mission statement. And I think it would have been great to have a QR code for our Linktree or our Instagram or email sign up next year. Because basically, in order to keep things simple and catchy, I would tell people to look up our Instagram and that they could find everything else from there.
Great points, Becca, and thank you, Tanner, for both of those comments. I wanted to add a few quick things because you know we have a QR code. We don't have a QR code, but we have 2 domains that I quickly refer people to both times. We have bikenorwalk.org and walknorwalk.org. Those are both sponsored by Tanner. Thank you, Tanner. But if we can turn those into QR codes, I think that would make it accessible. It's to our Linktree that has all of our relevant links and quick access to those pieces. But Manny, I see you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
No, I just want to thank Nick again because I feel like he did an excellent job coordinating all the volunteers and just making sure everything, even just like the separation between someone who's bike valeting and focusing on bike valet versus someone who's actually tabling and engaging in the conversations. I thought he executed and communicated that really well. I just wanted to bring up another conversation piece that I heard between the volunteers and commissioners. I feel like the Subaru people were clutch and helped us out majorly, but I think that also could have been part of the confusion because they saw their name on the tent and they said, "Oh, are you guys part of the Subaru group?" And we're like, "No, we're actually the Bike Walk Commission." And so I know there's been conversations about us getting our own tent. So I just wanted to. I feel like if we start that conversation again, and if that's a budget item that in the future we'd want to put on, I feel like this is a good case for us getting a tent.
That's a really good point. Thank you, Manny. And I did notice that as I sent out the email reminder with the picture of Becca that we were having the bike valet with the Subaru on top. So, and I think Christine, I want to give you credit. You originally mentioned maybe getting a tent, so we can definitely add that to our discussion of budget items at the end of the meeting. Becca, oh, your hand is not raised anymore. Any other comments on the Earth Day event recap? And thank you to the Earth Day, committee for engaging with us and setting us up. Thank you, Jim, for leading a walk. Thank you for joining us tonight. I would love to hear from you about how the walk went, if you have a moment, and if you have any feedback on how we can improve for next year.
So, the walk went surprisingly well. So it was funny because it was a little bit of a rainy day, right? And I had just been fighting a cold and had no voice, and I was kind of just thinking no one was going to show up, and then we had 15 people show up. So we gave it. I didn't have anything left by the time I got to the green. But it was we unveiled the sorry, still dealing with the last remnants of it. But we had a QR code, 2 QR codes of the future of Wall Street at the time, so people got to see some new technology. We talked about what the next phases are. They got to see. So it was pretty interesting and lots of questions. I don't think we tried to make it back for 11 o'clock for the talk. Some people had to peel off a little bit early to do it because we had a number of people who just kept on asking a lot of questions. So I think that was it was great. So and another different group of crowd that came. So I think it was really, really well. But 15 people on a rainy day is pretty good to walk through the streets. So I take it as a win.
Definitely. Yeah, thank you so much, Jim. No, I'm glad to hear that and that it was a success. And I'm glad we were able to, have those partners too with Jalen and and Mark from the underground factory as well, and that you had a good turnout. So I'm really glad to hear that. And with everything going on in Wall Street, this is an exciting time. So I'm glad we had, interested people attend and ask questions and engage with the community that way. Any other last questions, comments, or feedback on the Earth Day activities? Okay, moving on to our Bike to Work Week and Bike to Work Day events. Becca, I will hand this off to you to lead to talk about our updates on progress there with our partnerships with with the Norwalk Transit District and CT Rides and the City of Norwalk.
Sure. We have exciting stuff going on. We have soft committed to a partnership with Black by Demand Coffee, which is the coffee shop inside of Sono Station. We need to collectively decide how much of, I believe we allowed that this commission, I was in absentia last time, but I believe that we have 200 to spend on food and concessions, and we need to decide how much of that we want to allocate to Tierra's business and in what quantities. The email she sent me said for 100, we could offer 50 small 8-ounce drip coffees, for 150, 40 small drip coffees, and 10 of a special drink or something. So, and to let us know her opinions. I think it's really important to incentivize and support a small business. And even if people aren't biking all the way to work, I feel like biking instead of driving to Sono Station and saving $12 and getting a free coffee is a pretty nice sell. I don't believe we have decided on a location for tabling. We have collectively decided we're going to table on Friday, May 16th, which is the One Bike to Work Day. Rather than sort of dilute our efforts throughout the week, we want to sort of paper the neighborhood all weekend, but then have a physical presence at a location to be determined on May 16th. Sarah Roy from CT Rides has said that wherever we table, she will also table. I'm just scrolling through some emails here. She's happy to lend.
Just
do you want to jump
really
in?
quick, I really quickly wanted to preface it by saying Bike to Work Week, I believe, is next week. So, and you mentioned
Yes,
that
it's May 10th.
Friday.
It's coming.
Perfect. And you did mention Bike to Work Day is Friday, May 16th. So that's when you are anticipating tabling at a location. Okay,
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
CT Rides is happy to cross promote on our socials. If there's stuff like how to rack a bike on a bus video, which I think we have access to. They have their Drive Less challenge going on. In my emails with Nick and Manny, I think this is around where we are at. So we need to pick a date and a time and coffees and such. And then the last thing you looped me in on, Emily, was graphics and the city wanting to be able to cross promote as well. Did I cover everything?
That sounds about right. Yeah, that last point too. I know Skylar and Michelle with the mayor's office offered to help support any events that we have going on for Bike to Work Week and Bike to Work Day. So I know on Tuesdays too, and this is a good reminder for all commissioners, if there is anything, and I know Jim, you work with the city on this already for Transportation Tuesday posts. They really recently feature a lot of TMP accomplishments, and if there is a way for us to collaborate and enhance the work that we're doing or events that we're hosting or ways for more Norwalk residents to get involved with the Bike Walk Commission, to send them to Skylar and Michelle to help promote on those Transportation Tuesday posts. So I think this would be a good opportunity. I know it's tomorrow, but for us to promote Bike to Work Week / Bike to Work Day. It could just be something like smart cycling tips or how to, bike to work on that week, or, what specifically we're doing on Bike to Work Day, which is Friday, May 16th, you said. So if we can get information over to them, I know they can help with the graphic design as well.
Or even something tongue in cheek, right? Like, did you know that biking to Sono Station offers you like free safe storage and does not cost $12,
Exactly. And I know on the other side of that, there's enhanced parking features now for car parking at the Sono and Maritime Station. So there's also that if you are not able to bike to work. But any other thoughts, comments, feedback on Bike to Work Week or Bike to Work Day events from our commissioners or other panelists tonight? Tanner, I see your hands raised.
Yeah, thank you, Becca, for lining up the Friday activities, the festivities, the tabling. I sadly will be out of the country that day, but I do want to plug Sustainable Streets is also doing an event that week. We're doing Bike Party again on that same day, Friday, but in the evening, meeting up at 7 p.m. I know a lot of you already know about this, but cross promotion would be much appreciated, and we'd love to get as many people there as possible.
Thank you, Tanner.
I
Julia,
on
go ahead, Nick.
on the budget spend, I would be in favor of whatever's gonna use the $200 completely and kind of split it evenly. I think that trying to devise a system that says X commuter will get a drip coffee and Y commuter will get a latte is just logistics that might not be kind of worth it figuring out. Perhaps it could even be like coffee and a bagel or coffee and a pastry. And however much of that uses the whole $200 for the sake of simplicity is what I'd be in favor of going towards.
So for $200, we could do 100 get a free small coffee at Black by Demand. Thank you for biking to work vouchers. So we should just plan to do that.
That's what I would say.
Do we think we would give out 100 vouchers?
Quickly, and on that point too, my understanding was, the 50 coffees for 100 or the 40 plus 10 special would be for people who maybe didn't drink coffee and needed a specialty drink that wasn't coffee, which I can appreciate. Maybe not everyone drinks coffee, but the other 100 would be allocated to food. So like buying bananas, snacks, muffins from another vendor or from a bulk provider so that we can offer not only coffee, because I feel like maybe not everyone drinks it, and some sort of food in addition to that, whether Black by Demand does that or some other vendor, having
Well, I don't
100
think-
for drinks,
I don't think
100
we're
for
offering like the physical copies. I think we're offering a coupon, right? That you take. Like I think that my idea was that it was a drink ticket, right? That if you show up on a bike, we hand you a drink ticket. Good job biking, you get a free coffee.
Okay. I know in
We
the past
could explore alternatively having her cater coffee. And I imagine that she would be willing to honor a small tea, but I can ask her.
Okay. Tanner, go ahead.
Yeah, 2 or 3 thoughts. One, +1 to people who don't drink coffee. I'm one of those. But in past years, we haven't had anywhere near 50 people roll through actually on a bike. I would, my preference would be to offer, if we're gonna be spending real money here, I think that we should be offering to people who do actually ride a bike. We can give literature and stuff to people who haven't ridden a bike. I'd be happy to expand to other micromobility. If people used a scooter, for example, to get to the station, I would be happy to counting that. But I do think that food I would vote for it to include food. So maybe say if you bike, you get a drink and a item of food. I think this also works well with the theme, because if the goal is to encourage people who otherwise wouldn't bike to work that day, they might be hungrier than usual because they're getting their bike ride in. So yeah, I think a muffin or a banana or whatever plus a drink for people who bike would probably get us to right about 200 and we actually use it.
Great. Given that the only quote we have from Tierra is for drinks, should we just plan to purchase snacks to hand out? That seems easiest to me, given the time constraint.
Yeah, Becca, I'll follow up with you on that, because another feedback point for us from last year was that people didn't have a lot of time because they were commuting to work. So if it was like standing in line, we offered coupons to Eco Evolution, and some people couldn't make that wait time. So I'm happy to connect with you after this on what we can do going forward, but we did approve $200. So
Sure.
I think if you've talked to her and if the other commissioners agree, doing a coffee coupon sounds perfect. And then with the other half of the budget doing, ready to go snacks or other beverages or like
And the
water
coupon doesn't
even.
necessarily have to be for use that day, right? We could ask her to make it good through the end of the month, right? Because what I want to do is push people to this local business that is conveniently at their South Norwalk train station where they might arrive by bike, and support a local Black-owned business. That's my angle here.
Are you tabling at South Norwalk Station?
That's the other question I have to answer. Where have we tabled in the past?
I would say if we're going to be giving out coupons to a business at South Norwalk Station, that we should table there.
I would think so also, and that would also give us access to people showing up for the bike rack, people showing up on the bus. Potentially we could put somebody on the State Street side as well, just, you know, to catch people at those bike racks. But I would think the table, or rather the Monroe Street side, but I would think the table goes on the State Street side. I don't know who you talk to get permission to table outside of the State Street entrance to Sono train station.
We've done it in the past, Tanner. I don't know if we got permission, but it was Colin Greer, whatever his last name
Colin
was
Gauthier.
there.
I imagine
Thank
that
you, yeah.
any approval that's needed goes through Jim, and he's on the call, so maybe he can weigh in.
Mm.
So yeah, tell me when you want to be there and we'll get you the approval to be there.
Okay.
Thank you,
What
Jim.
time do we want to be there? People who did this last year? 6 a.m., 7 a.m.?
So Becca, what
7
day
a.m.
was it again?
Friday, May 16th.
May 16th. All right, so what we'll do, I'll also speak with the parking authority. I was there, you know, I think, you know, anytime you paint a floor after a little while, it gets a little wear and tear, right? So it looks like it could be we could spruce it up a little bit. So let's see what we could do about getting that done for that day as well.
Super. So circling back to the drink tickets, do we think, should we ask Tierra to print those? Do we need to print those? Is that something we should circle back to in budget spend? However much it would cost for us to print 50, one free coffee now through May 31st.
Sorry, can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Christine.
Does the business, and I may not have been paying attention, does the business provide food, like muffins and stuff? Is that what I heard?
They sell egg sandwiches
Okay,
and
so-
pastries.
Thank you. So we have the money, right? We need to spend the money. So we know 50 commuters are not going to be getting this ticket. It just doesn't happen. Maybe 25. So why don't we give them, you know, coffee and food, like a $10 coupon? So we can.
Really, I
use
mean,
the-
I haven't quoted that out, but we could certainly look into it. And I also wonder if we made the coupons available, even if we're tabling Friday, if throughout the week, like we each had 10 on us to hand out, like, hey, are you biking to work? Like, good job, free coffee. Like, I'm not expecting to get 50 people that day, but 50 over the course of the week, maybe.
Right. True.
I mean, I say that also as someone who
So-
will not
Well,
be.
I just know I
for-
can't,
Yeah.
I can't commit to time, because I'm at work at 7 o'clock, so
Yeah.
I can't be there. I'd love to help, but I can't this year.
Yep, I'm planning to be on site that morning. I can't do any other days that week, but I can do Friday.
Okay, so thank you, Christine, and thank you, Becca. We'll work through the coupon. We approved $200, so let's spend that $200 with Black by Demand. Manny, before I continue, do you want to go ahead? I see
Yeah,
your
we
hands
need.
raised.
I mean, if we need to print a coupon, I don't mind like going on Canva, creating something, and then I can print it at work. If that just saves a lot of the trouble with, you know, budgeting and funding, and then putting it on the business owner who might not have that. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like we can create. I'm willing to volunteer to create something.
Yeah. I would also hope that if people are getting a free coffee, maybe they would look at her thing and go, oh, let me get an egg sandwich then, you know. As much as I would love to also offer her the food spend, like, you know, I don't want her to now feel like we have thrown more demand on her than she preps egg sandwiches for on a given day. Right?
Right.
I think the idea of coffee vouchers plus snacks is the least heavy lift for all involved.
Perfect. Becca, thank you for managing this so far. Manny and Becca, can I follow up with you after this? Because if we are going to print coupons, I feel like it could be a collaborative thing where we can have bike walk information on there too. So
Yes,
maybe we
please.
can continue this conversation after this meeting, if
Okay.
that's okay with you. And we'll get everything finalized. And thank you, Jim and Tanner, for bringing up the, you know, allocation of where we can be by location. And we'll follow up with you, Jim, after this as well. Thank you.
All right. Did we settle on a time? We're going to be at South Norwalk train station on the State Street side. Do we think we need to be there from like 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.? Is that sort of
I think we'll confirm that with Jim for approval of the location space, right?
okay?
Okay,
You
But
tell me
we'll-
where you
we'll
wanna
get that
be, and
organized.
We'll make it happen.
thank you,
Okay.
Jim.
I'm asking the other commissioners what time do we want to be there?
Who else committed to doing this
Yeah,
with you?
who can be on site with me that morning, and what times have we tabled in the past?
Tanner, I might lean on you for
Yeah.
recollection, but I think it was
Um,
by 9 a.m. because I had to be back to work.
Yeah, I don't think we went past 9 a.m.
Last it was
Just
7 a.m. to 9
speaking-
a.m.
that sounds right. I was going to suggest that speaking as a commuter, there's a ton of trains that come during the 7 to 8 a.m. hour going to the city. After 8 a.m., the trains get a lot less frequent. That doesn't mean that it's not still useful to be there, but I would suggest that the 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. hour is the core hour to be there.
Yeah, I mean, before that,
And-
there's
and maybe-
6:02, a 6:23, and a 6:39.
And I think there's like a 6:57 or 6:59.
Entirely possible. By then, I'm late for 8 a.m., so I don't know about that.
So I would say core hours would be maybe 6:30 to 8. And if you can stay later or earlier, then so much the better.
Okay.
Okay, Becca, I know you'll be there. Tanner, I know you're out of town. Are any other commissioners able to join for Friday, May 16th, like to work day?
I should be able
The
to
table?
join that day. I'll get back to you about my timeline though, just because I feel like it happens the same every year. It's like parent teacher conference, and I'm on childcare duty, so but I'll make it work.
Appreciate it. I'm in for the full window. Whenever I can have company, I'll take it. I'll be coming off a 29-hour shift the day before, so I'm not even gonna know what time it is. It's gonna be great.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Manny. Thank you, Becca. If there are any other commissioners, then we'll reach out to volunteers, but it sounds like we have a good presence there so far. Any other last questions on Bike to Work Week or Bike to Work Day events? Okay, moving on to our next item here, which is other upcoming events. We briefly touched on the e-bike safety seminar. There is an event happening by the Westport Police Department. It will be on Tuesday, May 13th at the Westport Town Hall, which is located, or excuse me, Town Hall Auditorium. It's at 110 Myrtle Avenue in Westport, Connecticut. It's Tuesday, May 13th from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And it'll be all about rules and regulations for riders and motorists, e-bike safety and street awareness, safety tips and resources for all ages. So it is family friendly. I don't think you have to be a Westport resident to attend. So I encourage any commissioners who are available that evening to attend, and I will try my best to be there as well to take notes and bring information back. Like we talked about before, Chaz Foster will be there doing a Q&A as well. So I just wanted to bring that to the attention of our commission here. The other events coming up, Becca, I know you and Nick were looking at the bike repair clinics and availabilities for a commissioner to join one of those. I think, Becca, you reached out with some specifics. Do you want to start with the REI?
Sure.
Quote?
I met them at their Earth Day table. I forget what their exact, like, if they have some local title, the REI Cooperative Action Fund, that is made up of local people. But anyway, they are hosting some classes, some of which have passed, one of which is going on right now. But they have flat repair workshop coming up on May 8th at 6 p.m. Trailside bike repair May 19th at 6 p.m. and flat repair workshop again May 22nd at 6 p.m. And this struck me as an opportunity for one or more of us to acquire those skills so that we could then share them with the greater community, which is something we discussed. If we could offer stuff like basic bike repairs for free, maybe that would increase access to people who are not riding their bike just as it needs a small tune-up. And I would hope that that is enough, that it's not taking business away from our local bike shops, which we love, because we're serving a class of people who can't afford that to begin with or don't need that bigger repair or some combination of the two.
Right. Thank you so much. And location wise too, I know CT State Norwalk was interested in hosting these repair clinics, especially geared towards students who may need it if they are cycling to the college or wanting that sort of education. So keeping in mind, to your point, that we're not trying to put any, businesses out of business, but incentivizing and encouraging people to get their bikes tuned up and in good shape to ride. We could find a way to do, I don't know, like coupons, or in the past, I think
with a future grant spend where we offer 50% off at one of the local bike shops or something up to X dollars. That could be fun to discuss. These classes are taking place at the REI on Connecticut Avenue, by the way.
Perfect. I think we'll bring this up in our budget spend later on to see if we can approve maybe a commissioner or two attending one of these clinics. But I guess before I move on to the next thing, Nick, did you have anything you wanted to add on the clinics, or I think you expressed interest in attending one as well?
Yeah, I basically just expressed interest. Or I guess it's more a question for Becca. Did you feel out for if REI had an appetite for offering a private class if we had the budget for it?
I did not explore that further. I just thought to myself, oh, I'm an REI member. This could be fun.
Well, okay.
Go ahead, Christine.
REI, I spoke to them. They're happy to have bike repair clinics. I mean, they want to be paid, but they'll do them for small groups at their on-site.
Perfect. Okay, so then with those dates in mind, we'll bring that up in our budget spend item later on. But other scheduled or proposed events, I know I put on here, for example, the Nice Festival. I realize now they moved it to October, so that's not the next upcoming event. The two that I did want to bring up though, Memorial Day Parade and Pride in the Park. Memorial Day is at the end of this month. And Jim, I know you mentioned to me earlier maybe participating in the Rowayton Memorial Day Parade. I don't know. There's two, right? There's the one in Norwalk and the one in Rowayton. So seeing how maybe the Bike Walk Commission could get more involved in one of those. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Sure. I think I'm sure that you guys know about the tragedy that recently took place in Rowayton. I think highlighting cycling there is great. I think maybe finding a way to engage and then maybe at some point in time we follow up or we do it then at some maybe some type of bike clinic as well, so that we're all around the city, but we have a lot of kids around there. Like with the challenge that the tragedy that occurred with someone with on an e-bike, right? But I think that would be a great opportunity to start to engage all aspects of our community all over, right? And if we could be at the other Memorial Day, that would be great as well, right? Like it's the start of the summer, right? That was it's a start where we see more cyclists on roads and having a presence of adults that are out there that I think would be great. And maybe somebody might ask a question, but it just also just shows we're here, right?
Absolutely. And what stuck out to me the most, I attended the Rowayton Memorial Day last year, and everyone, I want to say almost majority of the people attending the parade came in on their bikes. They walked, they used the sidewalks, and it was at the very end of the parade, kids and families and cargo bikes. And I took pictures, even I have photos of just the bikes parked on the side of the road. So I know it's a very walkable, bike friendly event. So I would love to find a way to, connect with that community, to your point, because I feel like we don't do a lot in Rowayton specifically. And if this is something where you get that turnout and that community presence, it would be really good to see the Norwalk Bike Walk Commission a part of that. So absolutely, I'm definitely on board, and I want to open it up to other commissioners who would be interested. It's, I believe it's on Monday, May 26th, is that event. If there are any other commissioners interested in getting involved, or Julia, or other groups that we would think would want to be involved in that, please let me know. Tanner, and then Manny, and then Christine.
To clarify, are you suggesting a specific way for the commission to be involved, or are you looking for ideas for how we could be involved?
Both. I mean, I haven't participated before, so I don't know what the process is there, but I'm looking to see maybe if we wanted to be a part of the parade, or if we would just go and hand out cards, or what any commissioners would suggest on a way to get involved.
I mean, I haven't ever been to the Rowayton Parade. I don't know that there's a place where we could easily table or whatever, but marching in the parade, if we're going to be in the parade, I think having a huge flotilla of bicycles would be amazing. I don't know if I have bandwidth to organize that between now and then, but I would I am around that day, and I would consider joining such a flotilla.
Excellent. Okay, Tanner, I'll keep you on note here. Manny and then Christine, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, but it's just that we're talking right there. I just looked it up real quick. It's Sunday, May 25th from 12 to 1.
Thank you, Jim. Sorry, I did say that incorrectly. Sunday, May 26th,
So
25th.
then conceivably we could go to both parades, because I think the full Norwalk parade is on actual Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Perfect. So Sunday from, you said 1 to 2 or 12 to 2?
12 to 1.
12 to 1. Thank you. Sorry. Okay, sorry, Christine, go ahead. Oh, or Manny or
Christine can go.
Oh, well, so, two things about the parade, but first, I'm sorry, Jim, when you say tragedy, was there a fatality? Was that the one on Wilson Avenue? I'm sorry,
Yes.
I'm usually up on stuff.
Yeah, I don't know about this either. I'm not seeing it in the local news anywhere.
Well, was it a
No,
fatality?
there was a 12-year-old that was struck on Wilson Avenue. So the police is still under investigation. The driver was there. I've had a meeting with the police department. Afterwards, I know that they were getting the black box from the vehicle, and they did a search warrant for cell phone records and whatnot. But so he was transported there to Yale New Haven Hospital. He had a very expensive helmet on, full facial helmet on, which would probably saved his life. So
no fatality.
Not a fatality, no, but just a serious injury.
Yeah, thank you. Well, anyway, well, back to the parade. I don't know about this year, but I would love it to have like a kid bike contingency flotilla. I like that word. And like, kind of decked out bikes, maybe a little contest with commissioners as marshals, but maybe that's probably next year. I don't know. But
I
thanks
like
for
that
the
idea.
information.
Yeah, thank you, Jim, and thank you, Christine, for suggesting that. I would love to involve Brianna Iorfino from New Vance Health. She focuses on bike safety for kids and things like that. If we can get her involved somehow too, I think that would be great. But Manny, I know you had your hand raised as well.
No, I was just gonna say I am available that weekend as well, and so if we need to band some bikes together and write down the parade route, I'm down.
Yep, as of now, count me in too.
Perfect.
With my usual freelance work subject to change caveat. Not the
And-
16th though. I'm all into the 16th.
Emily, there's probably like a sign up though, right? Ahead of time for whoever's going to be in the parade. I'm pretty sure it's a formality with the city and there might have been a deadline. I don't know.
I think
Correct.
I might know someone. I could probably get you.
Okay.
Thank you,
I'll
Jim.
be around. I'll be around too.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you, Christine. Yeah, and thank you, Jim, for offering. I did see the sign up for the city of Norwalk floating around, but I'll look to see if I can find the Rowayton one and see if I can get us signed up. So I have Tanner, Manny, Becca, and Christine at this time. I would also love to be involved if possible, but that sounds great. And then we'll get to this, but if we have bike locks or bike lights and taillights available, I think that would be a great handout to have at the parade like this. So we'll keep the planning and communication lines open for that event. The
I think
other
the
event I
great
wanted,
thing too is that they're often covered, right? The press kind of loves the parade, right? So this is a great way to get to promote the Bike Walk Commission, right?
definitely. Yep. Thank you, Jim. And thank you, Jim, for bringing it to my attention too. The other event that I know is happening in June is the Pride in the Park event, which was the one that I don't think we were able to attend last year. But Jalea, I see you're on here if you're available. I know I stopped by your table when I stopped by last year. If you have any advice or feedback, or I know there were signups floating around for the bike walk, for the event itself. Do you have any suggestions or feedback on the event and how it went for the Norwalk Health Department last year?
I feel like we got to see a lot of people last year from the health department. It's a really large event, so there's a lot of vendors at Veterans Park. So definitely if we do attend, bring a lot of materials and also make them available in Spanish as well. And it just really depends on where you're located. Some booths I feel like were located in areas where they didn't get as much traction. So it really depends on where they assign us. And a tent was as helpful as another thing. If we do attend this event, tents were allowed, but it was very helpful because that day was we used it because the sun was really really bad that day. But that's really all I have for it.
Perfect. And just as a quick reminder, it is Saturday, June 14th this year from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. So Becca and Christine, I see you both raise your hands. Becca, go ahead.
I am looking at the Triangle Center's website right now to host SIT. And I'm noticing that they are already encouraging, because they only offer ADA parking at the park, they're already encouraging people to park at local garages or to use rideshare. I wonder if we could reach out to them and encourage them to say, also biking and walking are great ways to get to the parade that also mean nobody's driving drunk. In their FAQ, it says what alternative transportation can I use, and it encourages you to take Route 11, the Route 11 Wheels bus, or the Metro North to the Sono stop. Although I would think actually the East Norwalk stop is closer. So I wonder if we could reach out to Triangle Community Center and ask them to plug biking there, using Scoot the Block, walking there, and Wheels to You and the East Norwalk train station.
Becca, I love your suggestion. That is an amazing feedback point. Do you think you could do that? Would you be willing to?
All right. To the
and then, Christine, I saw you also had your hand raised. Do you have some more feedback?
Well, yes, so I believe it's costly to have a table there. I don't know if you have to also, right, you have to do the form and everything for that. But there's a lot of people that go. There's really very little place to park a bike. I think there might be one rack in that park. So, I mean, it would be great for the valet. What is the day to park in the park in?
It is Saturday, June 14th, Saturday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. And just like you said, I think it's a great opportunity to feature our bike valet service.
Yeah, I've seen you there, and we both rode our bikes, and we had to park. I think we tied it to a tree or something, or a pole.
Yeah, they had like a little fenced off area, or they had a fence and stuff, but yeah, I agree. It would be a really good opportunity because there's not a lot of bike parking at Veterans Park, so that would be really nice
at the collaborative bike racks map, I do see they show 4 bike racks at Vets Park. I haven't checked them out myself, so I don't know, but
yeah, they're there. They're just kind of on the outskirts. But anyway, Emily,
they sort of should be in the center of the baseball dugouts, unless those are not real.
Okay. Thank you, Christine, and thank you, Becca. I'm gonna pass it to Tanner real quick, who has his hand raised, and I just want to be sensitive of time here.
Yeah, just want to +1 the bike valet idea. I know Nick has historically owned that. So Nick, if you're available that day to run that, awesome. If you're not, I would be willing to commit to it in advance here. Especially Becca, if you can own the coordination with Triangle Community Center. I can handle the operational aspect of it.
Yeah, because as usual, I can't guarantee I'll be there that day, but I can absolutely email them in advance.
What a collab. Amazing.
Okay, perfect. So then I'm going to leave it to Tanner, Christine, and Becca to coordinate, and then Nick,
I think Nick gets the right of first refusal.
Nick, what do you think?
I'm happy to have a redundancy for bike valet, so it's not always on me.
Great. Okay, sign me up then for June 14th, right?
June 14th, Saturday, June 14th, from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Great. So
perfect.
just to not violate quorum laws, I will CC Tanner and Christine only, or are those are my 2 commissioners? Great.
Yeah, I would, just keep norwalkbikewalk@gmail.com in the loop so that, okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
I just wanted to add, if, I'll check my schedule, but I should be around that weekend, but I'd be happy to do tear down and set up for the bike valet.
Thank you so much, Manny. Yeah, we appreciate you transporting the racks and getting into the Yankee Doodle garage and coordinating that effort too. Thank you. Okay, moving on. I know we're a little over time here. Thank you all for making time to be here. Scheduling a meeting with TMP. Jim, I know we talked about this beforehand. We are, according to our strategic plan, trying to have a quarterly meeting with TMP. And I know it's been hard because you guys are super busy and all of our calendars aligning is really difficult, but I wanted to ask and see if there is a time in the next 2 weeks and see which commissioners are available to join for a meeting with your team.
Would this be in person? And
Oh,
Yes,
Jim,
you
you are muted. Yes, this would be in person
Yeah,
at City Hall.
no,
and
what time
no.
is best for you? So that way, let me just look at that thing.
I know originally when we were talking, we were trying to get Tanner and Nick and Becca. I would love to attend myself as well if that's possible, but I think we were looking at either like Friday during lunch hour or Monday during lunch hour. I know potentially maybe this Friday between 11 and 1 could
Okay.
work.
Friday would probably be better than Mondays. Mondays are usually pretty hard. So we don't want to do Friday the 16th because we already have that as a day, right? You already that's so you have fill with activities. I can
Would
do
this
the 9th.
The 9th?
I can do the 9th. It's the 23rd a holiday. Is it?
No,
So
but it's
that
leading
is-
into the holiday weekend.
Yeah,
It's not the holiday weekend, right?
It is.
it is.
It is leading into the holiday weekend.
Oh, okay. Then let's not do that one. So the 9th, does the 9th work?
I
can
can
do
do the
that.
9th.
Okay.
Okay.
What
So
time?
do for the 9th at 11 a.m. potentially?
The 9th at 9th at 11.
Okay. Becca, Tanner.
Yep,
I
I can
will
only
see
see
you
an hour,
both.
but I'm in.
Okay, perfect. I will get that on our calendar. Thank you so much, Jim. And Nell, I'm very excited to meet you in person there as well. Thank you for doing that. Okay, it's in the books. Thank you both. Okay, that was much easier. Okay. Our next item here is the Community Connectivity Grant Project submission with a letter of support from the commission. East Wall Street from Brook Street to East Avenue. Nell, I understand you've been working on this, so I'll pass it to you to share more about this.
Yeah, so I've been working closely with Garrett on this project specifically. This would be for the state's community connectivity grant project submission for this upcoming year, so fiscal year 25-26. Basically, it is a streetscape project, including connecting bike lanes into the major scope of the Wall Street project that is currently being worked on. There will be significant upgrades to sidewalks as well, and a bike box on East Wall Street heading onto East Avenue. Those are kind of like the major highlights. But yeah, it would be great to get a letter of support from the Bike Walk Commission. If there are any questions. Yeah, Tanner?
Is it going to involve a downhill bike lane on the westbound side?
Yes, there will be bike lanes on both sides of the street.
Awesome.
So the bike box, so that's up at the top of the hill right now?
Yes.
And it would be if a bike's going right or left, because there's the 2 lanes, one goes to the right, one to the left. It's a very busy
Yes.
place. And so that would
Yeah.
be a large bike box. What if, that's fabulous, fabulous.
And the streetscape that Nell was talking about would just be replicating the streetscape that's taking place in Wall Street. So Wall Street will be a continuous streetscape throughout. the replacement of the highway style lighting with all pedestrian style lighting, introduction of street trees, along there. So I think it would be, just that continuation. So Wall Street this is the last leg that's left to be designed for Wall Street.
Just to confirm, the five-way intersection would be outside the project area here.
That is correct.
This
It's
just
outside
brings
of
us
Brixton.
to the introduction of it. Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously that's a whole nother
Right.
project.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother issue.
Right.
Yeah, I think speaking personally here, I would be happy to support this with the understanding that that this on its own doesn't solve a lot until we address that five-way intersection, but also recognizing that we can't solve everything at once.
I mean, it is a little tricky over there. I mean, as a cyclist, like coming to the top, I think, like as if those drivers are paying attention, right? Like, because they go, is that right on red there? No, they're not allowed. It's a green arrow. It's a green light arrow. Okay.
Yeah,
And
but
it's-
right turning traffic still piles up and clogs the bike lane. Would this fix that?
Yeah, so we're looking to right size the light lanes and have the bike lane go continuous through up to the intersection. Yes.
I'm confused as to how that's different than what it does now, because now I see that there is a bike lane and I see that cars, because there's so many cars who are trying to get in the right only lane, the cars block the bike lane. Will
Right.
that
because
stop
I
happening?
think I think we have the bike lane that
Thank you, Tanner.
yeah, so the bike lane kind of ends and it just goes into a merge.
But if I'm looking at this map currently, it looks like there is a continuous bike lane all the way up to east to that crosswalk on East Wall Street. And what I'm saying is that cars fill that bike lane. Like I just anecdotally, I have observed this on multiple occasions.
Can you see my cursor, Becca?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, okay. So you're saying that despite are you saying that cars back up, the right turn pocket is not long enough and so cars back up into the bike lane?
Correct. That's what I'm saying. That's what I have observed with my human eyes.
Okay. This is to design it, so we don't have it planned out right yet. So like we have
Super.
we have to get it, like we have the concept of what we believe we want, but it all takes place with like we have to get the grant in order to get it to happen first. So
Totally. I just wanted to flag that I would hope any design is going to specifically address that the lack of room to queue for the right only lane causes people to decide that the bike lane is now their car lane, and it's not. It's the bike lane.
yep. I think we're looking at moving a little bit of the parking on the other side to make that happen, to elongate it even more.
Thank you.
Is it going to be necessary to keep all of those spots?
Again, it's not
Or
fully
that remains to
designed.
be seen.
Like we're putting the cart before the horse, or the bike before
Yeah.
the bike lane, right?
Well, I know
No.
that's been a political sticking point in the past, from what I understand, and I don't. If maybe that sticking point had been resolved already, which would be great news, but
So Jim, getting to the letter, is there language that we can just use that you can give us? And I mean, do we vote on this, Emily? I certainly support a letter of support for the grant. I don't know I can't write it. I can't commit to that right now, but
Well, I
support
think
it.
we could pen a letter for you, and you could edit it as you see fit, right? So we can give you one that kind of just beats fits the general terminology that they're going to look to get, and then if you could edit it as you see fit. But we can understand that you all have other day jobs too. Now let's pen that and get it over to Emily to kind of disperse with the group.
Yeah, I've been coordinating with Greg, so I can follow up and make sure that a draft of some sort gets sent over. But again, you guys are like welcome to change anything as you see fit. But yeah.
the way that we
Thank you,
voted on this in
Nellen.
the past. Oh, so go ahead. Emily.
I was just going to say thank you, Nell, and thank you, Jim, excuse me. But we'll do that with whatever you send over. Is there a hard deadline on this letter of support? When do you need it by?
If possible, May 14th would be lovely.
Okay, May 14th. So we'll do that. And Tanner, if you don't mind, we'll talk more offline because I want to get through the last few items here before we have to
Well,
adjourn.
I think technically we want to take a vote now.
Oh, we do need to take a vote on whether or not we
Well,
do the.
I'm not exactly sure, but that's what we've done in the past. What we've done in the past is we have voted, and I will so move right now. I will move to authorize Emily, unless you decline right now, to edit the form letter that TMP sends over and to send it in on behalf of the commission expressing support for this grant application on East Wall Street.
Seconded.
Thank you, Tanner. Thank you, Becca. All in favor? Okay, that is unanimous. Thank you all. Thank you, Tanner. And thank you, Jim and Nell. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Last items here. Thank you guys for hanging in. I wanted to run a quick quarterly check-in on our strategic goals and budget review, our quick progress update towards our strategic goals, budget spend, and then commissioner reappointments that are coming up in June. So I have pulled up here our strategic plan. I will share my screen very quickly because I'm happy to report that we have started towards our goal of safe cycling courses. So host 2 courses with 2 instructors. We had Christine host one for Jalea, and then we had Chaz host one that we talked about earlier. And we also have completed our new league certified instructor, Jalea, working for the Norwalk Health Department, is now a certified league instructor. Increasing positive engagement was another one of our goals. We are working towards that. Developing bilingual content. We are continuing to work towards that. Infrastructure and accessibility. I know we're going to meet with TMP. We've just set that up. So that is perfect. The other thing I know, Tanner, we're working on is that pedestrian and bikeway transportation plan. It was really nice to hear Michael Smeets talk earlier about using that as a reference point. So I think keeping that conversation going is great. There's no deadline here, so just keeping that ongoing is great. The walking and biking events, bike valet at 4 community events. We checked off Earth Day. We're talking about Pride in the Park, and then Nice Festival, Sono Arts Fest, and so on. I'll bring this up a little later, but I did connect with the Norwalk Economic Development and Tourism Department, Alex Cross, at their agency. We talked about summer event activities and integrating more biking and walking with their events that they're hosting throughout the summer. So I think there's a lot more opportunities for us to integrate, and there's an opportunity for one of our commissioners to be a part of their special events informal committee. So I'll talk about that more in a little bit. Including underrepresented community groups. Manny's been leading a great effort to continually have representation at the Filling in the Blanks Mobile Food Pantry monthly meetings. Thank you, Manny, for doing all of that. And this is another opportunity, Manny, I know you reached out about this, the Walk Bike Roll to School Day. Do you want to quickly touch on what you're working on with Joanna at NPS?
Sure. So, honestly, I completely overlooked the May date for Bike Walk Roll, but I did connect with Joanna and about revisiting it for in October. But also, one of the things when I spoke with her, she brought up was the grand opening of the new school in Sono, and how it's really having an emphasis on bikeability, walkability, and so I know there's coming up, when it's open in the fall, an event, and so I've asked Joanna to cue us in on that, and any, we'd be happy to be there, participate, anything related to that, and so since it's right up our alley, so that's exciting. So I haven't attended a meeting yet, but I know there's conversation happening about that, and that's rolling out. I'm sure Jim has more information or is well aware on that, has the pulse check on that.
Thank you, Manny. Christine, I see you have your hand raised. I was going to ask if there are any other commissioners interested in supporting Manny or want to offer more help in getting more involved with the Bike Walk Roll to School Day. Christine, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted Manny and everyone to be aware that, and Emily, I don't know if you overheard the comment, but when Chaz, we had the bike education at NCC, the mom was there with her son and said, I want my son to be able to ride to school. And the
Mhm.
school is, I believe it was Nathan Hale. Yeah, where there's a bike route to school. So I think, you know, this bike walk to roll initiative, what we did last year and everything, is making an impact.
Thank you, Christine. Yes, and thank you for bringing that up. I did forget to mention that earlier, so thank you. That was really good to hear too, that, you know, there's all this infrastructure there now and they're looking to, you know, make sure their kids know how to safely get to school and back. Go ahead, Manny.
I was a little late to the meeting, but the gentleman earlier, was his name Mike?
Oh, so there were two, yeah, Michael Schmeets is from, I'm gonna say it wrong again, Larchmont, New York. Oh, I got it right that time, I think.
Okay.
Larchmont. And yes, he was saying that he was admiring some of our plans and saw us online and was looking to get more involved than he did. Safe routes to school. He's on a board or something. I don't think he's on anymore, but there was also Chaz Foster who joined us and ran the safe cycling course and workshop.
Okay.
That is interested in doing more. But if we can integrate them, or I'm sorry, if we can integrate Chaz into this, I think that would be a great opportunity too, or even Jalea, now that you're a certified instructor, having opportunities to do. I know there's a woman in Darien who reached out about a bike bus to school. If we can find a way to, you know, maybe connect with her and learn more about how we can potentially do that for Bike Walk Roll to School Day in October, that would be great too.
Yeah, I was also asking because I wasn't sure if there was a change in leadership for Safe Route to School in our region, but I was just curious. So I was just trying to clarify that.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't think, yeah, he's not in our area. Perfect. So then moving on, co-hosting bike to work events with businesses and transit hubs. I think we're ahead of that. Thank you, Becca. We're hoping for participation of 50 biking commuters there. So that would be great.
We're gonna hand
Another
out
goal we
50
have.
copies. It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. Achieve bronze bicycle friendly community status. Tanner, I know you were looking at the application. I think the deadline is June, so maybe we
So
reevaluate
I
that
reported
in our
this
next
on
meeting.
this last month or the month, I think last month. My conclusion there was that not much on the application has changed, and I think that even at this point, still that the Bike Walk Commission, basically, I can take care of all of the stuff that the commission can do between now and then. There's I think basically 2 work items that TMP would have to do that involve some more quantitative measurement of the street network, and the conclusion back then was because there was no traffic analyst, there was no bandwidth within TMP to do that part. Now that we have a traffic analyst, that may change, although I'm sure that traffic analyst, Nell, right? Nell is her name?
Yep.
I'm sure that she has plenty of work to do, and I don't know where this falls in the prioritization stack, but basically the conclusion is I and the commission stand ready to do our part to meet this deadline if TMP is interested in prioritizing their side of the work to meet the deadline.
Perfect. I think we'll bring this up as an item in our meeting with TMP on Friday, if that's okay with everyone.
Can I
sounds
just,
great.
Nell may want to, I think Nell, you're really gonna like what we're doing. And if you go onto the League of American Bicyclists website before the meeting on Friday, it might kind of give you an overview of what we're doing and what we've done. We received honorable mention in the city of Norwalk. It's an award, national award.
Perfect. Thank you, Christine, and thank you, Tanner. Last things here, accountability and reporting. So checking in each quarter about these goals and how we're comparing. And then at the very end of the year, reporting to the mayor and common council. We will continue to do that. Okay, moving on to our second to last item here, which is our budget spend. Nick, can I hand this off to you to talk about the quotes that we do have and what we need and what we can approve today?
Well, let's see, I suppose. So I think that I did take a look at this yesterday and or not yesterday, earlier today. And I see that you took off some line items for some things that I agree can't make into the budget this year, being the Complete Street seminar and the summer event programming. Just believe through the July deadline to spend this budget, we just wouldn't be able to figure out all the logistics for that. So those updates have been made.
I'll give just quick reference to that too. And the reason I updated these two events that were slightly different from what you see here, after my conversation with Norwalk Business Development and Tourism, it sounds like we can integrate into their programs that they have already. So they didn't anticipate any, additional cost from our end, which is why I marked that as 0. But if we did want to do something down the line, it would, to your point, probably be after our budget deadline here. And then the other thing I updated from our conversation, Jim, last time was we really like the idea of a complete street seminar and public forum, but with planning and everything. I think it would surpass, to Nick's point, our June, July deadline for budget spend. So then what this brought us back to was about $1,400 of remaining budget balance, which I'll hand it back to Nick to talk more about those quotes for the other items that he was looking into. And then Tanner, I do see you have your hand raised as well.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what Tanner has to say.
Last month, if I recall, we voted, we approved, I'm pretty sure we approved the money for the headlights and taillights. And I have competing quotes. I don't need to use time in the meeting to summarize them unless people are curious. But I'm wondering, should I work with Nell to get those through purchasing, or should I work through Greg?
Nell is just filling in for Greg today, because Greg is out sick, unfortunately. So
Gotcha. Okay, then I will work with Greg to get those purchased.
if I can weigh in, I really love the idea of the tent that was mentioned earlier. I think you should look at with that remaining balance. Like, if you're gonna have more events and you're gonna be all around it, I think you want people to be able to come and recognize who you are. And I think it would be really good to work at it, get one of those tents.
Okay, perfect. Do other commissioners agree? And Christine, I knew you brought this up originally. Yeah, okay, I see Becca's giving a thumbs up. Manny, Tanner, Nick, thumbs up. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll add it
Yeah.
here.
Doesn't really matter, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter if we all agree in the context right now. What matters is
Voting to approve it.
what's the amount of money that we have to allot to it. And we can either take a guess as to how much that is, unless someone has like an idea as to how much that is, but otherwise we just wouldn't really even know what to put on there.
Well, I can get some quotes, Emily. I just know we really need to spend this money, as Greg always reminds us, before the clock is ticking and we have money, so.
That's my point exactly.
What's that?
That's my point exactly. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure
so
that.
Emily, if you want me to get 3 quotes, I'll get 3 quotes by Friday.
A super quick cursory look suggests that a printed canopy tent is much less than $1,400.
I don't know if we need 3 quotes. Printed canopy tent.
I do agree with Jim though that making a printed tent, especially if we got $1,000 in the remaining balance, it's in our best interest.
Becca's hand is.
So then, oh, Becca, go ahead.
How much of this money is use it or lose it, and what is that deadline?
June, and 960 if we spend 500 on the tent.
Okay, so all of it needs to be allocated by then, or handed off to the payees by then?
Paid for and received by then.
Great. And as a practical matter, how do we pay Tierra from Black by Demand $100? Just because I'm new at this part.
Yeah, let's talk through the process offline, but it's essentially either, it's a purchase order through the city, or it's something that you'll get reimbursed for depending on the structure of it.
Great.
So
we'll sidebar.
Yep. For the Norwalk Bike Walk printed canopy tent, I'm putting on $500. Do Tanner, just based on what you said and what I saw on Google so far. Christine, I know you mentioned you could get 3 quotes. Do you feel confident it would be around $500
I just
or?
wanted to speed up the process here, so if you need me, it sounds like, you know, Tanner's checking it out, you are, whatever you want. Or maybe we could talk to somebody who has a tent in the city, you know, that uses a tent regularly. That's an easy setup, an easy pack and go, because we have to think of that too.
That's gonna be key. Don't get one that's really complicated because then you're never gonna set it up, right?
So
Yeah.
2 cents here from me. I think if 1460 buys us the tent that we want, that will provide the value that we're looking for, then I'm happy to spend all that money on there. But if it doesn't, I don't want to pour it down the drain or lose it. And so I think the decision we should make tonight is, if we decide that that we can get the tent that we want for less than that, where do we put the rest of the money? And one line item, the one item that I'm familiar with is very scalable. That's lights. And so I'm open to other opinions, but one solution is that we could pour the balance into more lights.
Okay, so
Or more water
the
bottles
other,
or more drag bags. Yeah.
I was gonna say, so I saw Nick was able to get statements of work from Judd for the past water bottles and drawstring bags. I think that's another item I would like to bring to the table for discussion, mostly because we are geared towards having a lot of bike lights and tail lights for cyclists, but water bottles, drawstring bags are across the board for kids, adults, for whoever. And I don't think we have any more water bottles or drawstring bags. So Nick, I was looking at those quotes and in my estimate here, I'm a little off base for quantity wise, but if we wanted to spend more on these, I think putting in an order for those. And then I had here the t-shirts or reflective jackets from Manny. Yeah, can either of you talk more to what those
Water
items
bottles and
would be?
drawstring bags were a little under $5 per. So $200 would get us about 40 of each. So if that sounds good, then we can keep the number. If we want more, we could get more.
Okay, and then how many headlights and taillights did we get for this, Tanner?
95 pairs,
95 pairs. Okay.
like 95 sets.
I would say, yeah, if we wanted to match that for water bottles and drawstring bags, that might be nice. But
I would
I
even
look to
argue that
other
we should have
commissioners.
more bags than we have taillights, because I think that we should give out the headlights and taillights a little bit more judiciously to people who are actually going to put them on bikes. But anybody can use a bag.
Becca, I see you have your hand raised.
My only questions were, is the water bottle design we're going with one that fits in a bike cage, in a standard bike water bottle cage? That would be a nice feature.
I'm so glad you asked.
I have my own feelings about the over proliferation of reusable water bottles in the world that I will withhold for the reasons of getting budget spend, and my feelings about single-use items that inevitably become landfill in general. But if we think it would help the cause, I'm all in favor.
So the previous version, and I would love to improve it, so it may be that they may cost more, but we had like miniature water bottles and they were yellow with blue tops and they had the Norwalk Bike Walk Commission logo on them. I would love to use the Bike Norwalk logo that is seen in the Sono station, like a white water bottle with that logo and having it full size standard for bicyclists specifically. So that would be what I envision. I don't know if other commissioners have any feedback or comments on that.
And then my other
Or
thing was,
Jim.
do we want to allocate any budget to anybody going to these REI classes?
Oh, thank you. Yes, because I think we currently have budget for that right here for $650 for the bike mechanic training. We haven't approved it yet. Did you get a price point for that?
It is to attend the Trailside Bike Repair Workshop is $40 for an REI member, $70 for a non-member. Flat Repair Workshop, $25 for an REI member, $55 for a non-member.
Okay, so
Yeah, I don't
if we
think we're
had
gonna
two
spend
commissioners,
all $650 on that.
Well, the
Yeah,
idea
so-
there was to have like a private class.
Oh, I
Okay,
see.
as opposed to, well, then that makes more sense with that number. I just, for the interest of budget spend, and if anybody wants to go to these classes who is on this call, could we bankroll that
Yeah.
person?
Can we approve that budget for REI to attend those courses here and now? I agree. I think that gets that gone, and then we could reallocate the remaining budget to water bottles or bags.
Before
Well,
we,
who's available potentially?
Nick, what were you gonna say?
oh, I would like to take the class, but before we vote to a number for the bicycle mechanic training, if we're assuming that water bottles and drawstring bags are about $5 each, and we want to match it to the 95 pairs, that brings us to 475 per line item. So just want to keep that in mind so we can see the remaining balance and make our decision from there.
Okay. Or 75. I mean, we might honestly want to do more. If you said it's 55 for a member, 75 for a non-member, so 75.
Trailside
Oh.
Bike Repair Workshop which is taking place. There was one tonight and the other one's on May 19th. I can't go that day. That's $40 for a member, 70 for a non-member. On Thursday, May 22nd, Flat Repair Workshop is 25 for a member, 55 for a non-member. And I would be prepared to, if we allocated to commit to going to flat repair, obviously emergency work notwithstanding.
And
But
it
if someone else
doesn't,
can definitely go.
yeah. Well, and it sounds like they have reoccurring classes. So if we approve the budget for 2 members tonight, they can attend in the near future. Because they're reoccurring classes.
Yeah,
I think
this
as long
is
as they're
just
reimbursed by the end of the fiscal
on the
year, which is
schedule
coming up
right
soon.
Right, by the end of June.
All right, let me go to
That's
Aria.
that's okay. I don't
Well,
want to get too stuck on this, but
In the interest of time, I can move right now to allocate the money for Nick to go to the trail side and for Becca to go to the flat repair. And I move to allocate that, depending on whether or not you guys are REI members. If neither of you are, I think that comes out to 130.
I am an REI member.
Okay,
Yes,
so
you are.
100. You both are. Okay, then this is quite cheap. So it's
This is
55 for the one and
$65.
25 for the other.
40 for a member for Trailside Bike Repair, 25 for flat repair.
Yeah, let's authorize 65 bucks. That's nothing.
so
Super.
sorry, what's the total?
$65.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for the motion, Tanner.
Yeah.
Can I get a second? Christine, thank you. All in favor? Perfect. Okay, 65 for the bike mechanic training for 2 commissioners.
Great. You just bought my evening on May 22nd. It's a date.
Okay. Moving on, so I know that one we can approve. Water bottles, drawstring bags, the printed tent. And then Manny, do you have any update on the reflective jackets? Potentially, if not, no worries. And then Christine, same thing with I know last time we talked about the LCI educational smart cycling materials, if there was a cost to purchase those, an estimate potentially.
I have no estimates, but I can work on those for you. I'm sorry, I actually just
No. I was just curious if it came up or not. If not, I'm more tempted, honestly, to put more budget spend into the water bottles and drawstring bags and the printed tent. How do commissioners feel about that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that we go a similar route that we did with the headlights and taillights, where we say however much bags $700 gets us, however many bottles $700 gets us, however much tent $700 gets us, that's what we get, kind of a thing.
I agree with all of that except for the tent, because I think the tent's not very scalable.
Well, you get
Tanner,
a really
from-
fancy looking tent.
From your preliminary searching and from what I was seeing online, do you think we would spend more than $500 on a tent, or do you think we could get it
I think
for
500
around
is a good bet.
Okay.
I did very little research here. I would move to let's allocate. Have we previously voted on any money for water bottles and bags?
Yes, and actually I can pull up the statements that Nick sent me.
We haven't for.
Have we voted on that money?
Oh,
No.
not this year. Sorry, no.
Not this year. Okay,
But
so are we
here-
down to just making the decision about bottles, bags, and tent? If
Yes,
so,
I think so.
I would vote to allocate the rest of our money to one tent to be, on the order of $500, and then the remainder of the balance be spent on equal numbers of bottles and bags. That way we ensure that we use the whole budget.
I see Becca has seconded. Perfect. Thank you, Tanner.
Just
Can I get all
quickly,
in?
do we
Oh.
need like 2 chairs, like plastic chairs, or we have our own little chairs? I don't know.
I feel as though, and tell me, please, commissioners, speak up if this isn't the case, but I feel like if we do attend events, a lot of the time they'll have chairs, or our team has our own, and maybe this is just our team, but we have our own little camping chairs that we'll bring sometimes to share. But it's a matter of space in the Yankee Doodle garage for our supplies.
Well, there's
So
space, but it's a matter of like, manpower,
transportation.
woman power, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm good to vote
Um,
on this budget. I'm ready to go. 'Cause
that
we have to
sounds
spend
good.
the money, so.
Yep. Okay, so thank you, Christine. Thank you, Becca. All in favor for Tanner's suggestion of the printed tent for 500 and remaining balance going to water bottles and drawstring bags. Okay, that is unanimous. Thank you, commissioners. Excellent. So then I will divide up 845 between the water bottles and drawstring bags.
So to
24.
be clear, my motion did not include a hard cap of 500, but something in the range of 500,
In that.
and then the balance to be spent on bags and bottles.
Okay, perfect. Here, let's see if I can get this. It's going to be about 222 each, I think, roughly, and then that should bring us to that. Can I have a commissioner own these 2 items? Nick, I know you were working with Judd on these. Do you feel comfortable working on these 2 items to get quotes
Yeah, I
as
can
soon as
go with
possible?
that.
Thank you so much, Nick. Okay, perfect. And then Tanner, can I leave the printed tent to you? Is that okay?
Ooh.
Do you want to reach out? Maybe you could work with Phil Kaia.
Does Phil know anything about this?
He had a tent that he was lending us. I don't know if it's printed tent, but I'm happy to work with you on it if you want.
Yeah, I will. I
Okay.
will work on this if you will bug me about it.
I will. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, and then we have $1 left. But that gets us to our budget. The other budget spend that I know, Nick, you were working on here was the micro grant spending. So we did have an order and a purchase order with Greg for helmets and locks. We did the cycling instructor training. I know we're still looking at brochures, and I don't know, Christine, did we use the special event permit money? I don't think we did. So this could be allocated somewhere else, but we'll continue to work on this because I know this is preventing us from applying for new grants until we spend this
Well,
money as
Can
well.
that go to the Pride in the Park table?
That good question. Actually, I was a
One
little
idea
confident, but
was because Oyster Festival charges $200 for a table, but it doesn't have to be Oyster Festival. It absolutely could be another event.
Oyster Festival is after our budget period, right? So we'll have fresh budget to
Yes,
potentially
but
spend there.
it's a micro grant. This is not our budget.
Right. I'm just saying, if we need to spend this as soon as possible and Pride in the Park is next month, we could use it on that first and then have budget for next year to do the other one. But I appreciate your point, Nick. I think, we could do that for Oyster Festival as well if it is $200.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. And then I'm sorry, we're a little over time here. The last item on our agenda here is commissioner reappointments. I just
Hey,
wanted
Emily,
to make
really
note.
quick.
Oh, yeah.
A nonprofit is $100 for a table at Pride in the Park.
Oh, perfect. Okay, good to know. Thank you, Becca. I don't think we have to vote on the micro grant spend, but we'll work together to make sure, that goes there. But thank you for letting us know it's $100. Okay. Commissioner reappointments, I just wanted to make note that Manny, Christine, and Tanner are up for reappointment at the end of June. So I will sidebar with them and make sure we're all aligned with that. But we also had some people express interest in joining the vacancy spot, which we still have 1 vacancy open right now. So I will be working with Jim to hopefully get a new commissioner on board. But any last thoughts before I
Manny's
entertain
hand
a
is up.
motion to? Oh, Manny, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
Oh, it's okay. You know, I thought about this about the Oyster Fest last year. Is there a way that we can get, you know, especially if we're bike valeting at these events, is there a way that we can get a waiver since we're providing a service versus like, I mean, I know we're tabling as well, but if we're bike valeting and primarily bike valeting, we're providing a service, not necessarily like vendors. Does that make sense? So
Yeah,
I'm
I've gone
It's
down
a
that
great
road
point.
before, and my experience last year was that the organizers weren't very receptive to it.
okay.
I mean, it's a case by case basis depending on the festival, right? In the case of the Oyster Fest, they weren't
Not the
about it,
only
but
thing.
like Pride
Yeah.
in the Park might be different.
Right. But I guess, you know, the Pride in the Park fee isn't as great. I think Oyster Fest is like $800, right? And so that's where maybe I think about that a little more. But anyway, that's something else for another time. But it just popped in my head because, you know, I do think we're offering a service by providing complimentary bike valet, and so I think, I don't know, there's something there for me. But
Yeah, it's always
I
worth
agree.
asking, right? You won't. If you never ask, the answer is always no, right?
I'll
Definitely.
include that
I
in my
think
email to Substitute Pride.
good point, Manny. Thank you for bringing that up. And definitely, Becca, let me know how that goes. If you want to loop me in, I would love to. And I don't know if Jim has any sway there, but that definitely is like a free service. Like you said, it would be really nice to get some sort of comp or, you know, just because we're trying to offer more promotion to locals, especially those living, you know, in walkable distance or bikeable distance to attend these. It also saves on parking. I think there's a lot of incentive there. So I completely agree.
Yeah, I agree with
Um,
Nick. You got to ask in order to try to get an answer, right? So unfortunately, I don't have any pull with those folks, but I would ask and push the issue.
Thank you, Jim. Okay. Thank you all for your time tonight. I know we're a little over. Oh, Tanner, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, since you mentioned reappointments, I think I've told everybody, but I'm not asking to be reappointed largely because there's a lot of uncertainty in my future, potential whether or not I'm staying in Norwalk. So there will be soon 2 vacancies at least,
There will be soon. Oh, 2 vac. Oh,
as opposed to 1. Yes.
oh.
Okay. Thank you, Tanner. Any last comments from any other commissioners, or can I entertain a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
I
I'll
so
move to adjourn.
move.
Perfect. Thank you, Tanner. Thank you, Becca. Thank you, Christine. All in favor? Thank you, everyone, for tonight. Thank you to Eileen and Nell and Jim and all of our commissioners for joining, and Julia and our attendees. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you Friday, Jim.
All righty.